The attorney for former Windies men's assistant coach Vasbert Drakes has written to Cricket West Indies demanding that his client be compensated or reinstated after his services were terminated. Drakes, along with interim head coach Richard Pybus, were relieved of their duties early this week as a part of sweeping changes being made by new Cricket West Indies boss Ricky Skerritt. Speaking with the online publication Barbados Today, Drakes' attorney, Queen's Counsel Ralph Thorne, says his client was actively preparing for the upcoming Tour of Ireland, the World Cup and the Tour of India when he was unceremoniously dumped from his job. He says Drakes is surprised and very disappointed with the sudden turn of events. Queen's Counsel Thorne joins us on the phone now. Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, how are you?
We are well this side. How are you?
I am, we're cast in Barbados.
There you go. There you go. All right. Well, you're here and we're here. Let's get the show on the road. Let's get the show on the road. So take us from the top, Queen's Counsel. What essentially is the issue that Vasbert Drakes has with CWI right now, and what occasion? Take us from the top.
All right. As you know, you want it from the top. And this is a sports show, so I'm going to tell you something that you know. That we just came off one of the most successful tours that we've had for a long, long time. From Jamaica in the north to Guyana in the south, the spirits of Caribbean people were lifted. And to put Vasbert into that, I can speak only on behalf of Vasbert. Vasbert was at the center of that success. But that is the speak of sports and cricket. To speak of law now, since the tour ended, Vasbert has been actively engaged by Cricket West Indies up to the day on which he received a telephone call from one of your compatriots. He was working, and to dismiss a man in circumstances that I've described, and to dismiss a man in the manner that I've described, is not only morally wrong, but it is legally wrong. And that is why when he consulted me on the day, which was Wednesday, I think, I immediately wrote to the WI and reminded them of some measure of morality and the question of legality, what is proper and what is improper. And it was improper to do what they did, to dismiss a man of this stature and in these circumstances by a telephone call. It is not the done thing. So I did what I was supposed to do. I wrote to them immediately and asked them to write to him, to formalize that action in writing. And I asked them to do it by midday on Thursday. Now, it's only after I wrote the letter that I remember that there was a very big press conference on Thursday, wasn't it? So obviously, they did not wish to disturb that press conference. So they wrote back to Vasbert, as I requested, on Wednesday evening, I beg your pardon, Wednesday evening late. And I dare say they would have replied after office hours. But the alacrity is no consolation because the man is still fired. So on Thursday, which is yesterday, I then properly wrote to them again and articulated what would be Vasbert's claim. And the primary claim is that of reinstatement. And it is not a secondary claim, but in addition to reinstatement, we are asking for compensation. So that is in a nutshell where we are.
So Queen's Counsel, in circumstances such as these, the firing party, i.e. CWI, would outline cause when making that decision with the fired party, i.e. Vasbert. What cause was cited by CWI as justification for their decision to fire him from his job?
Now, I know that your program has international viewership and listenership. So I really can't tell you secrets on this program. And that is an evidential matter which I would not wish to disclose on your very popular program.
Okay.
But you have hit an important nail on the head. If I had to disclose that to you, you would join me in this case, in outrage.
Understood. All right. So then, can you tell me, what was the tenure of the contract that Vasbert had as assistant coach? When was it due to expire?
Which contract are you talking about?
The contract as assistant coach. Didn't he have a contract ongoing as assistant coach for the role he played in that historic series success against England and the ODIs and the T20s, for all that work that he did while planning for India, planning for the World Cup, planning for Ireland? He was under contract. When was that contract set to end?
You're asking some very good questions. And I will answer you without compromising any matter that will arise in the inevitable court action. But I want you to be aware that contracts are constituted quite often, partly in writing and partly orally.
Yes.
Yes? So to give you an answer to that question definitively is not an easy thing to do, but I say to you that on the day when Vasbert was dismissed, he was in active engagement with CWI, and no one can deny that, and no one will deny that when the time comes. So the answer to your question is not as simple as you would expect it to be, except that I'll repeat to you that many contracts, let us say many engagements, that's a term that one may prefer to use in these circumstances, and you will discover that it's a term I've been using quite often in my relationships with the media.
Yes.
That his engagement has been partly in writing and partly by way of conduct. Yes?
Understood.
That CWI will be hard-pressed to deny that on the day when he was dismissed, that he was working with CWI. If it were not so, why would they call the man and tell him that he's dismissed?
Understood.
Yeah. And I'm coming close to disclosing matters of evidence that I probably should not, but I think in these matters the public has a right to know.
Yeah.
I don't do my cases in private rooms because you have a better guarantee that justice will be done when it is done publicly, and the public must know.
Yeah, Ralph Thorne, we know that you're a cricket man. You're not just a legal luminary, but you have a strong interest and you are proficient in the game of cricket. Selectors were also fired, and we are hearing on the grapevine that some of them may also be going a legal route. Would that position by them surprise you?
You mean if the others go by the legal route?
Yes.
No, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I want to use the word egregious. The CWI's action has been egregious, outrageous. Yeah? I mean, these are men extreme. Look, you may be aware that a camp is about to begin.
Yes.
Yeah? You don't go into a camp, lads, and assemble your coaches and your cricketers on the day of the camp. It's preparation. And there has been ongoing preparation for the camp. And this is not even to mention the cricket series itself. So these men have been actively engaged. These men have been pushed overboard while the boat is on high speed.
Yeah. I would suspect, though, when the Cricket West Indies administrators begin to make decisions like these, they would have legal advice on how they proceed. Why then would they, at the moment, go this route? What kind of legal advice could push them in this direction, if it is that they could see the backlash?
You're asking me to speak from the state of their mind. I don't have that skill. But I will tell you, sometimes the political motivation and will is greater than what may otherwise be good legal advice.
QC, one last one before you go. I want to put a scenario to you and invite you invite you to comment as best as you can for the benefit of my viewers, for their own understanding, okay?
This sounds like a difficult question.
No, it's not a difficult question. Here, let me make the case.
Yes.
I know from experience, QC, that in a circumstance where, say, for instance, a cabinet minister in any one of the CARICOM countries you want to pick at random, a cabinet minister.
Let's pick Jamaica.
Let's pick Jamaica. A cabinet minister in Jamaica who employs an advisor to work for him or her, and that person has a contract. But something happens and the said cabinet minister is removed from cabinet by their prime minister. I know that in circumstances such as those, the ministry writes a letter to the advisor to say, well, occasioned by the removal of the cabinet minister from that post, your services have been terminated, and we will come to an agreement to pay you what you should get for vacation, whatever, incidentals, whatever. But thank you very much for your service. That person then moves on and gives the new minister incoming a chance to appoint whomever they want. Maybe they'll employ the same person. So I give you that scenario to ask if in the realm of what Ricky Skerritt is doing as Cricket West Indies, if there isn't some similarity between that scenario I just gave you and what he's actually doing that has impacted persons, including your client.
I would hate it if you were able to influence the listening public with the inference that you were asking them to draw. And I will give you a very simple answer. So what was probably going in the direction of a difficult question. And the simple answer is this. The staff were all employed and contracted by CWI. Okay? And it's a separate engagement by CWI. It is not legally tied to the contract of the head man, who in your analogy of the cabinet minister is not tied to him. It is not collateral to his arrangement. Mr. Drakes had a separate contract with CWI, which had a life of its own, as between CWI and Mr. Vasbert Drakes.
Understood. Thank you for that. We'll watch these proceedings carefully, and maybe we may have cause, and that important word comes up again, we may have cause to call upon you again.
Anytime. Always my pleasure.
All right, Ralph Thorne, thank you very much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Good. Ralph Thorne QC, eminent attorney in Barbados, and as Lance noted, a man of cricket. But the scenario I put to him, Lance, it's not fictitious. That's actually how it works.
Yes, I understand.
But Ralph says that in the case of Vasbert Drakes, it's that he's not tied to the cabinet minister. But the advisor is not really tied to the cabinet minister. The cabinet minister employs him to work, say for instance, in the Ministry of Horse Racing. The cabinet minister employs you to work in the Ministry of Horse Racing as his advisor. But Lance Whitaker sacks the cabinet minister because of whatever reason. So George Davis is going to come in now as a new cabinet minister. So the ministry, the secretary, the permanent secretary, whoever says, well, we're not sure if George will want to work with you as his advisor. So your services are terminated and so forth, giving George the freedom if he wants to rehire you or to hire anybody else. But you are not tied to the cabinet ministry, you're tied to the government. So I'm wondering if there is, you asked about the legal basis for Skerritt and company doing what they've done. And I'm suggesting that it may be similar to that. Of course, I'm not a student of the law, but I'm just applying common sense and what I know in another area.
Yeah, but I was just reading his answer to suggest that it wasn't the cabinet minister that employed the advisor, but the government.
But the cabinet,
in the form of the CWI in context of the question.
Yeah, but it would be the same thing. But it would be the same thing, Lance, because remember, if the minister takes on an advisor, the advisor is an advisor to the minister, and the minister works in the cabinet, and the cabinet is a part of the legislature of the country.
Well, let's see how this one.
So
let's see how this one unfolds, because Ralph Thorne seems pretty strong and strident in his position in defending Vasbert Drakes, and we'll have to see what happens here. But as I put to him just now, George, there are stories coming out about some of the jilted selectors looking to go a legal route as well with the termination of their contracts.
Yep.
All right. Now, earlier today, Cricket West Indies announced the squad for the Tri-Series against Ireland and Bangladesh. This happens between the 5th of May and the 17th. Here is Director of Cricket, Jimmy Adams, commenting on the squad. Just before that, let's get the squad. It's Jason Holder, captain, John Campbell, Darren Bravo, Shea Hope, Sheldon Cottrell, Shannon Gabriel, Kemar Roach, Sunil Ambris, Raymond Reefer, Fabian Allen, Ashley Nurse, Roston Chase, Shane Dorich, and Jonathan Carter. And here's what Jimmy Adams, the Director of Cricket, has to say about this squad. He says the selection panel consisted of an interim head coach, that's Floyd Reefer, Captain Jason Holder, and interim chairman of selectors, Robert Haynes. They have selected a squad to Ireland that allows a slightly wider pool of players to get 50 over experience in UK conditions, which I think is very important. This is not the World Cup squad, as a number of players are not available for this series, as they are still participating in the IPL. Director of Cricket, CWI, Jimmy Adams. That's his overall comment on the squad that was announced today. Significant, George. The selectors have a job to do. We had, over the past couple of years, a lot of criticisms about how many Barbadians were in the squad, and a lot of our voice notes suggested that Courtney Brown was picking a Barbados squad. Now we have 8 Barbadians in this 14-man
so whose
squad.
fault is it?
And Courtney Brown wasn't a selector.
Whose fault is it?
The selectors did a job.
What are they going to blame?
I have no difficulty with the selectors and the job. I want to hear the response now from the fans who were complaining that Courtney Brown was picking Barbados West Indies team.
One quick one. As Jimmy Adams said, this is not the World Cup squad.
Yes, it isn't.
But there is an excellent chance for the men selected to play themselves into that World Cup
Of course, which is what Jimmy Adams just said. He wants to give a wider pool of players an opportunity to show themselves in UK conditions, which is where the World Cup will be played. And let's see how well they grab the opportunity that's given to them.